Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Piedmont Unitarian Universalist Church. Piedmont UU sits on the traditional land of the Catawba, Kiowa, and Sugary peoples. We honor them. My name is Elaine Deck, and I will be the worship assistant this morning for the Reverend Dr. Amy Rio. We are a flourishing, vibrant, and radically welcoming congregation which promotes diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We provide a safe haven for creative intellectual growth, spiritual development, and a deep sense of community for all who join us. We hope that our liberal religious values will challenge you to join us as a community that lives boldly and acts justly. To all of our visitors and our members, we're very glad you're here, whether in person or with us online, and we do hope to see you again. Your presence is a gift to us. A few announcements for this Sunday. On Saturday, the June 20th, we will celebrate the summer solstice with the Bardic Circle, an informal gathering where people take turns sharing music, story, and song. Bring a short story, real or fanciful. Bring family-friendly jokes or poems. Bring your guitar, flute, saxophone, any other instruments you'd like to share. And of course, songs or chants that you love. You may choose to simply listen to what others are sharing. That would be fine too. The doors open here at 6:30 and will begin at 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome. Get ready for another delicious luncheon with the University Gathering Women's Group. All those who identify as women are certainly welcome, visitors also, and we meet this month at Val W's in Cornelius on June 20th at 11:30. And we go until 1 o'clock. So you can bring a salad, a vegetable dish, fruit, dessert, drinks, or anything you would like to share if you can come. You can RSVP and get some details by emailing womensgroupug@puuc.org. You are invited to join the Ethical Explorations group as we start a new book this next Sunday, June 21st at 9 a.m. We will begin by reading Defining Moments by Joseph Baracaro. This book argues that our toughest moral decisions aren't those where we have to choose between right and wrong, but those that require us to choose right from right. Email ethical@puuc.org if you would like more information and are interested. The City of Charlotte wants to construct a shared use path along Mallard Creek Road in front of our property and is accepting comments on the design. A larger number of responses carry more weight. Hint, hint. Please see your order of service, and the forthcoming June 16th email will have more information. Sue F. has some announcements about RE volunteer training this coming Saturday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to invite you to join me and my friends in the nursery and at the RE. We support our children here at Piedmont Church, and we'd like you to join us. Our leader, Jennifer, is hosting a volunteer orientation next Saturday over there in the meeting house in person, and you are all welcome to come. There are many ways to help. You don't need to have teaching experience, and you can choose to support the program by working directly with children and teens, or partnering with youth in church service projects, or assisting with special events like recreation activities, or even supporting the program behind the scenes. If you're interested or you want to know more, just ask Jennifer by emailing her at jennifer@puuc.org. We'd love to have you on the team. And a side note, if you're looking for something joyful to do today that doesn't involve cage fighting, go to Huntersville Pride. I'll be there at the voter registration table. Come see us.
Thank you, Sue. For other important information about our vibrant community, please see your order of service, or if you're on our email list, please check your monthly newsletter and weekly announcements. Whatever brought you to this place at this hour, we welcome you. May you find something you need, and may you leave richer in spirit than when you arrived.
We need the light most when the darkness comes. In the midst of days of challenge and difficulty, the light is always present, helping illuminate the way forward. The light of our chalice reminds us of the divine light of the universe and the divine light within each one of us. On the difficult days, let us focus on the light of our chalice and remember this promise. I invite you now to please join me in singing the words, the lighting of our chalice, the symbol of our faith. I invite you to please rise and body your spirit for our call to worship, which is found in our bulletin. Let us now join together. We enter this space today with minds filled with so much, filled with worries, schedules, ideas, things to do, and so many claims on our energy and time. Yet the spirit of peace resides in the chalice flame, in the space we call sanctuary, within our community and within our hearts. Let the peace of this time and place fill our beings and lead us to flourishing together as we gather for worship this morning. May it be so. Amen. Our opening hymn is found in our gray hymnal, number 121, We'll Build a Land. Please be seated. And I invite any of our young ones to come forth for our time for all ages. Miss Jennifer is on vacation today, and so we are grateful that Miss Cassette is here to help lead us.
Well, good morning. How is everybody feeling today? Hi. Thank you. Can anyone tell me about a special event that's happening this week? Do you know a special event that's happening this week? It has to do with the sun. Yes? The sun is shining down, and it's hot. But guess what? This week is going to see a summer solstice. Yay! And that's the time when the days, we notice that the days are longer and longer and longer. And then after that, they start getting shorter. But that's why we're so warm right now, because it's summertime. And I have a story I'd like to share. One thing that summertime brings is a harvest. That harvests fruits and vegetables. And do you guys like tomatoes? You like tomatoes? I love tomatoes. Do you like tomatoes? Oh, okay. Okay.
I love bananas.
Love bananas more. I get that. Candy. Well, I would love to eat candy all the time, but.
I would actually make candy too.
All right. Well, today I brought a book called Little Yellow Pear Tomatoes, and it's written by, Damien Elaine May, and illustrated by Nicole Tamarin. And we're going to talk about little yellow pear tomatoes. See? She says, I love little yellow pear tomatoes. Have you ever seen a little yellow pear tomato? Well, good. She says they are not round or red like other tomatoes. They are yellow and pear-shaped, and they come out of our garden. I have tomatoes in my garden, too. Well, I tell you, flowers love the sun, too. Okay. But the little yellow pear tomatoes are so small, and they are so big because there are a lot of not a tomato things in them, and in the little yellow pear tomatoes. Daddy plants them for me, and he tills the soil, and he puts up stakes for them to lean against. And without him, there would be no tomatoes in our garden. My daddy is in these little yellow pear tomatoes. And Mommy pulls the weeds. She makes room for all the young plants to grow, and without her, the weeds would cover them all up. My mommy is in these little yellow pear tomatoes. Ladybugs and earthworms live in the garden. They keep away pests, and they tunnel in the ground. Without ladybugs and earthworms, the leaves of the plants would all get eaten up. And ladybugs and earthworms are part of these little yellow pear tomatoes. Do you like earthworms? I love them. Clouds water our garden with rain. Lakes and rivers give their water to the sky to make the clouds. Without fresh water, our plants could not live. Clouds and lakes and rivers and sky are in my little yellow pear tomatoes. The sun gives its energy to each leaf, making it strong and green. The leaves turn this energy for life for the whole plant. Without the sun, our plants would wither and die. The sun is in these little yellow pear tomatoes. Yeah, it's a pretty picture of the sun. Sun rays. The sun is a star, and everything needed to make a planet is found in the hearts of stars. Without them, there would be no earth or skies or rivers, no daddies to till the rich soil, and no tomato seeds. Stars are in these little yellow pear tomatoes. All these not a tomato things, my daddy, my mommy, bugs and worms, clouds and skies, rivers and the sun and stars are part of these tomatoes that you cannot see. Take away any one, and the little yellow pear tomatoes in my garden just could not be. With so much in them, you would think these tomatoes would be huge, but they aren't. I can carry 4 or 5 of them in my hand and pop them into my mouth one by one. I am in these little yellow pear tomatoes too, because if I didn't love them so much, my daddy wouldn't plant them. Each little yellow pear tomato has the entire earth and all the heavens in them, just like me. I love little yellow pear tomatoes. And I hope you can love little yellow pear tomatoes too. Next time you have a tomato or a fruit or a vegetable or a banana, think about the whole universe being in those wonderful, wonderful things. And you too. Okay, that's our story today.
We now enter into our time for ritual and sacred sharing, time where we share joys and sorrows, concerns, and milestones. The first candle we light today, we light in for, I guess, in honor of General Assembly. For those of you who are UU members, you know, we have a big national gathering of UUs where we have delegates from every congregation and UU ministers attend. Beth and Cazette are delegates this year, and General Assembly starts this week. That's the important business of our denomination, and also a wonderful time for worship and community. We light a candle for Chris S. Chris was a member who moved away a couple years ago, had been very active in our Salisbury gathering, moved to North Georgia to be closer to family, and has been hospitalized with some health concerns recently, and has asked us to light a candle for her. For Ann L's sisters, Mary and Marge, who both have been dealing with health issues in recent weeks. In observance of Pride Month during this month, for peace to prevail in the Middle East, and our leaders to be guided by visions of peace and not visions of war. For all impacted by ICE raids and activity. For all areas of violence around the world, and especially the ongoing war in Ukraine. And for our country, that we might continue to do all that we can to help our country live into a society which is guided by justice and compassion and empathy. Now, at this time, you are invited to come forward as you feel called to do so. I invite you to come forward along the far wall. You may fill out a prayer card and place it on our prayer stand. You may light a candle of your own joy or concern. You may place a stone in our shared water. We now light a few more candles for the things we hold in our hearts which remain unspoken, and also for those who are joining us virtually to honor what is in their hearts as well. I invite us now to a time for quiet rest, meditation, or prayer. I will sound the singing bowl, and then we will have a period of silence. And during this time, I invite you to settle more fully into your seat, relax your shoulders, deepen your breath, and as you slowly breathe in and out, to invite into your heart what it is you need today.
This morning's wisdom reading is entitled Desert Flowers by Manish Mishra-Marzetti from Seeds of a New Way, Nurturing Authentic and Diverse Religious Leadership. Improbably, the wind-blown seed found its way here, to a long, beautiful stretch of land, but one that was hot, dry, and arid. A spark of life resting in an unprepared desert. Quenching life-giving sustenance, the rain, comes and goes, even if infrequently, sometimes drops a few drops at a time, and the seed begins to take root. Possibility brought alive. But what life is this amidst the harshness? Pocket mice, rattlesnakes, camel spiders, danger and inhospitality, lurking everywhere. One chance encounter gone wrong could bring death to the seedling. And yet, somehow the intrinsic invitation to thrive, to flourish, and to grow finds a way, even when it is a struggle. Poking gently up from the cracked, parched desert earth, a beautiful 5-petaled Phacelia blooms spectacularly, improbably. We are those wind-blown seeds. The universe longing for life, for thriving, for beauty, even when it is against the odds.
Thank you, Elaine. I think especially on this hot, dry day as we are dealing with an ongoing, pretty severe drought across our state, it's helpful for us to remember what can bloom in the midst of a desert. Now, a couple months ago or so, as I was looking at the theme for this month, Flourishing Together, and I decided, it would be really good to spend one of those days talking about how we can flourish together in the midst of difficult days. And as I started to get more into the details of forming this sermon, I realized I really had no idea what I could share about this, right? Who am I to try to give any kind of insight or wisdom or anything about how to get through difficult days and to flourish? Now, I'd say probably all of us here, we know what it's like to survive difficult days. We've all survived difficult days in one way or another. And oftentimes, we're in the midst of those days, surviving is all we can do. And that's okay, if that's all we can do is survive. So I hope today's sermon will give hope and not help anyone feel guilty if that's all they can do is survive during that time. Let's remember that divine light is always with us, even when we can't feel it. And this church community, this church family, is always with us, even if at times it doesn't feel that way or we might forget. Now, as I was reading through a variety of things in preparation for the sermon, I remembered a trilogy I read a number of years ago as it came out called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Now, I'm not referencing the movies, okay? So I know probably the movies made a lot of money. Some of you may have seen them. But there's some changes to the movies. So if any of y'all have read the books, it certainly can be helpful as we explore this topic today. Now, I spent several January terms where I was the chaplain at the college and was teaching before I came here, and several January terms where I taught a course entitled Religious Themes Found in the Hunger Games Trilogy. That class always had a wait list. I just got to tell you, my students loved that. And even just a few months ago, a former student who took the class 10 years ago or more emailed me because she wanted to copy the syllabus. She couldn't find it, and she and some of her friends in Chicago were sitting around talking about it. So now this series is still an excellent read, especially in today's world. There are so many things taking place in our country, in our society, that some of my close friends and I reference, oh, it's like this from the Hunger Games. So in the book series, the main protagonist is a young Appalachian woman, Katniss. Now, Katniss is a teenager. She lives in the coal country of southern Appalachia in a dystopian America. Most people in this region are in grave poverty and just trying to survive. Now, Katniss' father, he dies in a coal mining accident. And so a young Katniss, who's barely a teenager, attempts to provide for her mother and her younger sister. They are close to starvation. And when Katniss feels like all hope is lost, a young boy that she knew from school but never really spoke to, was the baker's son. He gives her hope. Peeta gives her hope with just a couple loaves of burnt bread. Of course, Peeta's own name is a homonym for pita bread, one of my favorite types of bread. And Costco has the best pita bread if you're looking for any, by the way. Now, when we look at religious themes, bread is a foundational theme in many of the world's religions. And even in other parts of the world where bread isn't common, rice is a foundational aspect of religious and spiritual identity. So bread is seen as sustenance for survival, but also for the possibility of flourishing. The bread of life is a phrase with which I know many of us are familiar. This bread of life, of flourishing, it's not just about survival. It's about physical, spiritual, emotional nourishment. Now, in the Hunger Games trilogy, the character of Peeta continues to show up for Katniss, to offer support throughout all her worst days, and especially when she herself is at her worst. He is still there offering support, offering bread. Now, I'm going to give a slight spoiler, okay? But the trilogy ends with all these moments of support and hope and light and bread from Peeta never fading. He consistently provides bread for her, whether it's physical or emotional or spiritual. And then the moments of all the light and all that he offers her become more frequent until over time, years after the end of the events that Katniss and Peeta have endured, Katniss realizes one day that she has a flourishing life. All these moments have added up to where she has a flourishing life with love and community and beauty. Now, the fact is that we might survive difficult days alone, but we will only flourish with a community. In recent days, I read a story that a young woman in her 30s who has a pretty successful life in New York City had written, and she was grateful for this flourishing life that she currently was living. And she said that one of the reasons that she was able to flourish was because of the day of her 8th grade graduation. That was one of the worst days of her life because her mother had just died a few days earlier. And so as she's there at school and they're in the classroom and she just begins to cry, and her teacher kindly says, if you want to go outside, you don't have to stay here in the classroom. And the teacher follows her out and says, would you like a friend to come be with you? And this woman did not pick any of her close friends. She picked a young, very shy girl that she barely knew and had hardly spoken to. But she knew that she didn't want to talk, and this other girl would not require that of her. So the shy girl immediately came out. They went to another room, and the shy girl just placed her hand on the shoulder of the sobbing girl and handed her tissues. No words were exchanged at all during this time. This now grown woman has no idea what happened to this young, shy classmate who just sat kindly, was present with her, was in community with her on the worst day of her life. But those few moments of kindness, of presence, without any words, helped this motherless girl to flourish in the future. Now, I think all of us can remember times when someone showed us kindness, even a stranger, and how that helped us through difficult days. One time that stands out for me, because it's kind of funny, as sad as it was at the time, was early in the days of the pandemic. When we all remember how that was, right? I was living alone and went through a mutual breakup from a relationship, which, I knew was the best thing, but still made me really sad. So I decided what I need to do, since I couldn't even go to a friend for a hug because we weren't supposed to touch each other, right? Unless we lived in the same household together. So I thought, well, I'm just going to drive to Krispy Kreme and get myself a Boston cream donut, right? There is no better thing to do. I'm crying the whole way driving, the 7-minute drive to Krispy Kreme. I go through the drive-thru. There's a long line because, it's early in the pandemic. Other people needed a donut too. And when it was time to order, I'm still crying so much I could barely even say the words. And then I get up to pay up to that second window, and the person who was working there said, "Oh, you don't owe anything. The person in front of you paid for your donut." And I was on a pretty tight budget at that time, so that, $2 or whatever made a big difference. But it also just, a stranger who didn't know me. And so I started crying some more and then parked my car and ate my donut. So it was but wow, that one thing that person will never know, that one small act of kindness during a difficult day, how much that meant for me. When we remember times when someone has shown us some kindness on a difficult day, that moment of connection and support, of knowing that we were not alone, how that gave us the strength we needed to go on to the next moment, the next day. And then over time, as we add those moments together, those moments of connection and support, other moments of light and hope, we know that we can flourish together. Let's be open to those moments when they come. Let's recognize them for what they are. And let's also look for opportunities where we can show kindness and support to others when they are in the midst of difficult days. And we may not know they're having a difficult period in their life, but offering that kindness and support can mean so much. Giving and receiving, we can all flourish together. Giving kindness and hope, receiving kindness and hope from another, we can all flourish together. Now, we all know that we are in the midst of difficult days. For some of us, it's on a personal level. For all of us, it's on a societal level. Now, there are some days that all we can do is survive and go on to the next day. The spiritual journey does not mean that we don't have any difficult days, but it does mean that we have light and community to help us through those days. Divine light is always with us, encouraging moments of bread being offered to us, of hope and kindness and support. Now, that divine light shines within each one of us, and so I encourage all of us to share that light, to share that bread with people who need it in this world today, and with everyone, because we don't know who really does need it. It is more blessed to give than to receive, but it's blessed to receive when we need it. It's blessed to give when we are able. It is both giving and receiving which flame that inner divine light and enable all of us to be able to flourish together. Giving and receiving, we can all flourish together in the midst of difficult days. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
you, Anne. That was beautiful. We know that the financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for the world than they could have possibly done alone. May there be an offering now to sustain and grow this life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. This month we're sharing our offering plate with 7 directions of service. 7 Directions of Service, or 7DS, is an Indigenous-led organization focused on environmental justice and grassroots power. Their mission encompasses the 7 directions of service, aimed at protecting sacred places, advocating for the legal recognition of the rights of nature, and establishing a land, language, and cultural center that is grounded in traditional Yesa teachings. Our hosts will now pass the baskets, and we ask that you pass the baskets down the aisle when you receive it, down the row, excuse me. You may place your gift in the baskets as they make their way around the room, and you're always welcome to give online at puuc.org or by texting PUUC at the number 73256. Today's offering will now gratefully be received.
We give thanks for these generous gifts which enable us to continue to live as beloved community. I invite you now to please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn. It's found in our Teal hymnal number 1017, We Are Building a New Way.
We are building
Before we extinguish our chalice, I offer thanks for all the many volunteers who help make our service possible each Sunday. I also ask if you are able to help after the service and to take the hymnals over to the cart near the piano. That's always a big help. Let us do as we do each Sunday and take a moment to give thanks, either in our hearts or with words for others to hear, for all the things for which we are grateful today. Little yellow pear tomatoes, absolutely.
Thanks to Deb, our congregational admin, for printing some really wonderful pictures for the wall out in the hallway.
All right.
Check those out on the way out.
Yes, thank you to Deb, our congressional administrator, who keeps the office running, for printing some new wonderful pictures we have out in the hallway, and thanks to the people who submitted those pictures too. So, yeah.
I'll say thanks for 45 years starting, I guess. Our little baby turns 45 today.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how that happened, but
What you mean?
I know how the baby happened. I'm not sure how the 45 years.
I'm glad you know that part, yeah. So Karen and Rich are grateful for their son's 45th birthday today. So.
I'm grateful for all the people that showed up at the meeting on Thursday regarding the sidewalk.
Yes, very grateful for everyone who's shown up to help, with all the sidewalk, multi-use pathway, trying to say that correctly. And just all the people who've been working so hard as we try to navigate that. Well, I give thanks for all these things, for your presence here today, whether it's been here in this space or you have joined us online. And we give thanks for this community of beloved people. So let us go forth, giving and receiving, surviving and even flourishing. We now extinguish our chalice, but we carry its light and its warmth and its meaning with us until we meet again. May we go in peace, believe in peace, create peace wherever we may wander. May it be so. Now for our closing song, we form a circle. You may hold hands if you would like, or you may simply place your hands on your heart.